today we're going to make a clay project of a fish, and these are pictures of koi fish. You find paintings of koi fish in Asian art a lot. These top three are paintings of koi fish, and the bottom pictures are koi fish that are actual pictures taken of them, so you can see what they look like in real life. So everybody is going to get a canvas board to use as a placemat and 2 pieces of clay. One piece of clay is going to be bigger than the other one. This is going to be for your fish body. So that's what we're going to start with first. We're going to take this ball of clay and we're going to turn it into a cylinder. So a cylinder, to make that, we need to either roll the ball of clay back and forth in our hands, or you can roll it on the table a few times. We can squeeze it in our hand to make it a little skinnier if we need to. Now, both sides look the same. We need to make one side the head and one side the tail. It does not matter which one you pick, but for the face and the head, I'm just going to take one end and kind of smooth it to be round. And then the other side, I'm going to pinch, kind of like when we make pinch pots, we use big alligator pinchers. I'm going to pinch one end of it to look like a flat tail. And now this is more like a fish. You can have your koi fish standing so that the tail is vertical up and down, or you can have it so that the tail is horizontal, like side to side, flat. You can make the tail curve up. We can curve it with our hands so it can sit on the ground and the tail curves up, or we can turn it on its side and the tail curves around like it's swimming back and forth. It doesn't matter which way. It's completely up to you and how you want your fish to look, which way your fish is swimming. Now my clay got really cracked. This clay got dry as I was touching it with my hands. So I'm gonna use this little bit of water to dip my finger in water and then rub it on the clay to kind of smooth out those cracks. We don't want to dip our clay in water. We don't want to pour water onto our clay. We just need a little bit on our finger and then smooth it along the cracks and it will get rid of them. Just a little bit at a time. If you get too much water on clay, it's gonna turn into a mud puddle. I'm gonna smooth together and push these little cracks together. These were like creases from when I was molding it. And I'm gonna tap my fish down so that it can sit on a table, because when we take these home, we don't want our fish rolling all over the place or when it's dry and hard. Now our other piece of clay, we're going to break pieces off to be the fins that we have for our fish. So I can take a piece off, roll it in a ball, and this is going to be one of my fins on the side. Now that it's in a ball, I'm going to pinch it with my thumb and my finger and make it more flat, like a little mini tiny pancake. Again, if it cracks, we just get a little bit of water on it. Your clay might not be as dry as my clay. You might not need water at all. If it's not cracking, don't add water. So here's one of my fins. It can stick on the side. That's a pretty big fin. Doesn't have to be that big. It can be smaller than that if you want. I'm gonna try to make the other one about the same size. Now, oh, it's not gonna stick. We need to do something special to make these stick. We're gonna do something called slip and score. We're gonna take a fork, dip it in water, scratch the piece that we're going to attach, back and forth, different directions, like tic-tac-toe. And you can see it gets all textured and chunky. Then I'm gonna dip the fork in water and scratch where I want it to go, back and forth like tic-tac-toe. This is called slipping and scoring, but I like to think of it like Velcro. Velcro only works if you have 2 pieces of it. So I have made 2 pieces textured like this and wet with my fork and water. Now I can push them together and they will stick together. You might have to smooth away some of the extra clay or water after you put it on there. But now, if I try to wiggle it, it feels like it's really stuck on there. If you try to wiggle it and it feels like a loose tooth, then it's going to fall out like a loose tooth. You don't want it to fall off. I'm gonna do the same thing to this other side. Scratch it with water and the fork. Dip my fork in water, scratch where it's gonna go, and then push them together. There we go. If you want your fish to have something on the top, you can make a little fin on the top if you want. You can make a long skinny one and add it onto there. You just have to slip and score it. Or I can take my fingers, and you can do this, and pinch, pinch, pinch the top of your fish. I like the way that kind of reminds me of scales too. I just used my thumb and my finger and I went pinch, 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 and I left the marks of my fingers to be like the bumps that would be on the top fin of a fish. Now, after everything is attached, you can use your carving stick to poke some eyeballs. I can poke a mouth, and I can even move my stick back and forth to make it look like a fish mouth, you know, when they're swimming in the water. I can even kind of make it look like he's smiling. And then if you want to draw lines on your fish, you can. Maybe it has lines on the tail or the fins. And you can even use the back of your carving stick to poke little circles just gently, and it'll look like scales. That'll be the very last thing that you do, is stamp little circles onto your fish. Be careful that you don't make your fins fall off. I have my fingers underneath so that I don't push it completely off. And that is how we're going to make our fish. That's it. So every time that you attach something with clay, we need to slip and score. The fork and water, dip it in the fork and scratch. And then when we're all done, we're gonna put it on top of your name so that it can dry and then be put in the kiln later. There's our little koi fish. We will paint it later.